The movie begins at night with a woman using an ATM. Two robbers draw near, and the man tells her to take out $500 without making a scene. Scared, the woman says she can only take out $300, which the man is forced to comply with. As the robbery is taking place, we see someone starting to run toward the incident, but we don't see what the confrontation results in. Later, the woman is talking on the news, describing how she was saved by a young guy. During the opening credits, several missing person posters for children are shown. Soon, our attention is brought to a boy sitting at a teacher's desk at school while sketching a stuffed bear. The scene switches to another boy of about the same age, Ricky, as he watches a video of how the person dealt with the culprits who were robbing the woman. He knows who the hero is and is proud of what he did. That person happens to be Owen, the first boy we saw. He radios Ricky, who excitedly shares that the video acquired almost 2 million views. Owen, however, is emotionless about the supposed big news. He radioed to tell Ricky he is at a certain spot. Soon he sees a little boy looking at him, prompting Owen to wave to the boy. He quickly walks away instead of waving back. The next scene has the two teenagers cleaning a classroom together. It seems like it could be their punishment. We learn Ricky's mother is a parking enforcement officer. Changing topics, Ricky says Michael Jordan was great because he always went to where the ball was going to be, not where it was at that moment. This is how Ricky claims to stay ahead of the world, and his mom, who he refers to by her first name, Jenna. Owen thinks it was Wayne Gretzky who did what Ricky credited to Michael Jordan. Elsewhere, we see a woman preparing food. Not much happens until we transition to another woman stopping at a red light while operating a car. She starts to text on her phone and sees a policewoman beside her on a bike. Since the officer sees her texting, the woman puts down her phone. At this moment, the woman who is cooking phones the officer. As she is talking on the phone, the lady in the car uses her phone to record the officer. She comments on how this is hypocrisy at its best. She gets off the phone to say it was official business, but the lady heard what she was talking about. It wasn't business. Thus she gives a subtle flip of the bird and tells the policewoman she is not above the law simply due to her enforcing it. Once the woman drives away, the officer yells she is on a bike. Back to Owen cleaning, he sees the little boy again in the hallway. He asks the boy if he needs any help. The school is closed for the summer, he adds. Oddly, the boy doesn't respond. He suddenly starts to run past Owen, making the latter chase him. The boy turns into another section and Owen loses him, as if the boy vanished. This inexplicable happening leaves Owen stupefied. The woman who is preparing food gets a ring at the door. She opens it to Owen and Ricky. The first thing Owen tells his mother is if they were after him now, he would be deceased because it took her a long time to open the door. We don't know which hostile people he has in mind. The policewoman we saw is there. She is Ricky's mom, Jenna, who soon leaves with Ricky. Alone with his mother, Owen gets into a small argument involving her current overprotective attitude toward him. He says he saved that woman, and he will take down anyone who will attack him if they come again. She replies she can't help it, for he is her only son. Inside his room, we see some unsettling drawings on the wall, most likely done by him. The scene shifts to present an elderly man talking about something that currently does not make a lot of sense. It seems like he could be talking to an audience, but we don't see it. The sole thing we take from his monologue is that this is the start of something beautiful. The coming morning has Owen awakening to an old-fashioned alarm clock. When he is in the washroom, he removes a bandage from the back of his head to reveal an injury. He eats cereal while listening to music from large headphones. In a short time, he takes them off due to hearing something. He thinks his mom made the sound. Going outside, Owen sees an empty car with its door open for some reason. So he returns home to get a horrible surprise in the form of a man pointing a gun at him. The two don't say anything for a few seconds, until the stranger tells Owen he can put his raised hands down. Following this, the man approaches him to say Owen has grown. The boy says he was just doing the right thing. Moving along, the man takes him to another room, where his mom is restrained to a chair and looks very injured. The stranger strikes Owen's head with the gun, knocking him down. An empty chair is there that the culprit puts Owen into. He gives him duct tape with the intention that Owen tapes his own ankles to the chair. The man gets him to do what he wants by pointing the gun at his mother. Once Owen finishes taping his ankles, the stranger tapes his hands behind the chair. He also tapes the boy's mouth. He turns on music because he knows the gunshot will be loud. However, in squeezing the trigger, he shows the gun isn't loaded. Of course, the gun clicks still terrify Owen, and the man laughs in schadenfreude. He says he has something much cooler in mind than using a gun. He takes out a mallet before he heads over to Owen's mom. The boy gets very unnerved seeing this. Alas, the man shows no mercy by striking the woman with the mallet, causing her son to scream in agony through the tape over his mouth. She loses her life during this unforeseen event. The culprit tells Owen that the latter made a mistake. Thankfully, Ricky appears and strikes the man with a baseball bat. He manages to escape, prompting Ricky to chase him, but he loses him soon. He walks past a car in which the man is hiding. Ricky only sees him when the man is already driving away. He returns to Owen's house to cut the tape restraining him. Later, we see Owen focused on drawing something. Suddenly, the culprit appears beside him to compliment the boy on his drawing. He also says if Owen keeps going, maybe he can bring back his mother. It was a hallucination that angers him. Jenna is downstairs with Ricky, hearing Owen's rage. She tells her son that Owen needs someone to talk to. Ricky has a sketch of the assassin's face. In the next scene, 3 young boys walk together. One of them says a certain man had to free himself by using a pocket knife to cut his arm. Another boy leaves them to go home. He is the one Owen saw twice. He passes a car that has a man looking at him. The scene changes to Owen sitting with Ricky on the outside stairs. Ricky doesn't like that his friend is lying to him. He says Owen is in his room every day screaming about something Ricky does not know about. Owen sees the little boy again, walking across the street. He walks behind a tree and vanishes. Owen morosely asks Ricky if he feels like none of this is real. Ricky wonders if he means something like the Matrix. Owen describes the feeling as him being someone else, plus doing something else. Instead, he is merely where he currently is. He keeps staring into the space where he saw the boy vanish until he hallucinates seeing a man with a bloody face. Afterward, Owen is inside along with Ricky and his mom. A man is with them, looking at Owen's sketches of faces. He is Dr. Fisher, who was advised to Jenna by her co-worker. He asks Owen if he has any hallucinations, and the boy lies that he doesn't. Fisher asks if he remembers him, to which he answers he does not. The doctor says they met a long time ago. He needs to present some uncomfortable information that he says he doesn't have a choice not to present. He thinks Owen might hold all the answers to this case without knowing it. Thus, he starts by saying Owen suffers from a condition called post-traumatic amnesia. It means he blocked out a portion of his memory. It is caused by head trauma or severe emotional trauma. When Fisher met him 11 years ago, Owen was unlucky to have both. He tells the boy his real name is Cameron. While he keeps talking, we see the continuation of the little boy walking alone. Fisher says he lived in New York with his mom until he was 7. At that age, he was tragically kidnapped near his house. The man in the car calls out to him and says he works with Cameron's mother. This resulted in Cameron's mom looking for her son every day with the help of the town. But no one could find him. 2 months after he disappeared, he was discovered 40 miles away from his house at the bottom of a river. The boy was almost lifeless. During his wakeful state, he would not talk about anything that happened to him. Fisher says it was clear Cameron was not trying to hide anything. He knows the boy simply didn't remember it. The police found signs of people having lived in the woods where Cameron was found. Fisher shows Owen a necklace with a stone and asks if he recognizes it. This makes him say that a person with post-traumatic amnesia never wants to force the sufferer to remember anything because it could be devastating. Based on Owen's sketches, the doctor thinks he is remembering, yet he doesn't realize it. Fisher believes the kidnappers saw the viral video of Owen fighting the robbers and recognized him. Owen wants to know why they came for him, a question Fisher cannot answer. He says he has a facility that specializes in mental trauma. He thinks it would be a perfect place for Owen to get help. The next scene shows us the elder man again being alone in the woods. The kidnapper, who is the man who invaded Owen's house, comes to him with Cameron. He tells the boy the elder man is great, and tells the man Cameron's mom is in the hospital now. That is why he claims to have brought her son to the camp with them. The elder man introduces himself as Andy. He tells Cameron he arrived at the most magical place on earth. He behaves kindly with him. At night, Cameron exits his tent to join the kidnapper by the fire. He says he wants to go home. The man who would take his mother's life in 11 years tells him it's not all bad. He takes off the necklace that Fisher showed to Owen and says he had it for 20 years. The stone in it is a moonstone. The kidnapper says the ancient Romans believed it contained the rays of the moon. He tells Cameron if he holds the moon rays close to him, they can make him stronger than anyone. So he puts the necklace on the boy and says he can do anything. Soon Andy exits his tent to join them. Owen remembers Andy saying that Owen belongs to him and vice versa. Back in the present, Owen tells Ricky he's going to take the kidnapper's life. He says the doctor told him he was starting to remember, but he's actually been remembering since the fight at the ATM. Pointing to his sketch of the culprit, he calls him Tom because he doesn't remember his name. Owen says Tom kidnapped him and took him to a forest, where he met Andy, whose name he remembers. He calls Andy a leader of a cult. He remembers them acting like they had answers to all the world's problems. Owen shows Ricky a cult called NAMBLA that resided in Massachusetts. It stands for North American Man-Boy Love Association. Ricky is rightfully disturbed by it. Owen informs him it started in the late 70s. The cult tried to promote relations between boys and men as being good for the world. By the year 2000, it was finished due to lawsuits plus several assassinations. Owen thinks all those involved with the cult had to go somewhere. He believes the two he was with traveled west from Massachusetts, which is where they kidnapped him. He also believes they moved back there. Owen circles the area on a map where he thinks they are located. According to him, that spot has an unsettling amount of missing children cases. Switching to the man who Owen decided to call Tom, he sees a car arrive ahead. A man exits it and Tom approaches him. They seem to know each other. The man, Carl, gives Tom an envelope with a new license plate. Carl says the envelope should have everything Tom needs. As Tom is walking away, Carl says he's curious about a certain hamburger. This angers Tom. He says they are out of hamburgers. Thus Carl makes a reservation, and Tom checks his book to say they have an opening on Friday, at a certain hour. Following this, we see a boy trying to escape somewhere. He is breaking things in the room. He seems to be trapped. Soon Tom enters the room to see the mess. He gives the boy a beverage he prepared, which the latter drinks instantly. Back to Owen, he places several bags in a car. We learn he is leaving alone to the place he thinks the cult members live. Before he does, Ricky tells him he is there if Owen needs anything. Afterward, we watch how Owen drives. When he is in the area, he puts many fake missing person posters of Andy and Tom in many places. The poster asks if anyone has seen his uncle regarding Andy. The question is the same for Tom, except he is the missing father. We see Owen engaging in this activity for some time. It has become his new life to search for those two, and he sleeps in his car. While he talks to Ricky on the phone, he says he isn't getting closer to where he needs to be. Ricky has some information on a man named Kevin Harrison. He is a registered offender, along with getting a second-degree assassination attempt. Meanwhile, Owen is sitting parked until he observes a man entering a car. Owen follows the man, for he thinks he could be the one he's looking for. He passes him on the road to see he's neither Andy nor Tom. His search for the culprits is not going well. Therefore, he continues to place more fake missing person posters of them. In this new area, we see Carl. He looks at young boys with an unpleasant interest. What steals his attention is him seeing Owen place one of his posters of Tom. It prompts him to head over to Owen and ask if he had any luck, to which he receives a negative. Owen asks if he knows the man, but Carl lies, he does not. He says if he sees him, he will call the number on the poster. Of course, Carl knows something interesting is going on due to him knowing Tom isn't a father. In the next scene, Tom is sitting with the boy he is keeping captive. He is chained to the chair by his leg. Prior to this moment, he walked nervously outside, taking down some of the posters Owen placed. Back in the present, he tells the boy if he doesn't smarten up, Tom is going to take his life. Shifting to Owen, he watches a video of a man talking about why a car engine won't start. Supposedly, that is Owen's current problem. As he is inspecting his engine, a woman draws near and asks him if he knows anything about cars. He tells her he does not, something she claims to be true for her. She says her brother is a mechanic whom she will contact. The problem is, Owen says he has no money. She disregards that, saying her brother will arrive in an hour. The woman invites him to join her for breakfast. So, they enter a diner, where she kindly says breakfast is on her. Owen wants to know why she is being this nice to him. Without answering, she says she used to be an addict, but has been sober for 4 years. One day she was out of her mind being intoxicated, and thought it would be fun to cross a busy road. It resulted in a car hitting her. She says her leg never recovered. The nice stranger asks him what his story is. He says he is looking for his father plus his uncle. She wants to see their photos, which he says are in his car. Since she tells him to go look at what cakes the diner has on display, he goes to look at them. The woman uses this time to pour a substance into his coffee. Once Owen returns to her, he drinks the coffee he shouldn't have. The boy should have been careful with the overly friendly woman. Afterward, we see her driving whilst he sleeps in the passenger seat. This segues into him being carried by her and Tom inside a house. The woman who never gave her name puts all of Owen's belongings into a tin can outside. In the meantime, we switch to Ricky looking at Owen's location on the internet. As the lady is pouring gasoline into the tin can, she hears the boy's phone ring. Taking it out, she looks at the messages he has received. Many of them ask where he is, causing the lady to worry. She tosses the phone back in the can and sets all the items ablaze. Suddenly, Ricky gets a message telling him the connection to Owen's phone has become lost. Following this, Owen is awake in the room with the other boy. Being restrained, he tries to free himself. He must also regret putting too much trust in the woman he met out of nowhere. Soon, Tom enters the room to see Owen is awake. He tells the boy he has something special planned for him, and it will be a night to remember. According to him, he will finally fix this situation. At night, Ricky arrives at a house by car. It seems like he decided to help his friend. Although he is scared, he tells himself there is nothing to be scared of. When he exits the car, he starts to look through the small windows at the bottom of the house. Not finding anything there, he goes to the entrance and looks through the window to see the deceitful woman sitting inside. Thus, he finds another door to knock on, bringing the lady to open it. She asks Ricky if she can help him, who replies he is looking for his friend. He describes Owen's appearance, allowing her to guess he means Owen. Ricky says they are best friends. He hasn't heard back from him, and says a lot of people back home are worried. The woman lies that Owen lost his phone 2 days ago. She continues the lie by saying she had a wild time with him. She thinks his phone must have fallen out at the time he was having fun. Once the woman says it might not even be nearby, Ricky counters that it is. The GPS told him the signal lost its life in this area, hence she welcomes him inside to search for the phone. We then see Owen sitting restrained at a table. Tom comes to sit on the opposite side. He asks Owen if he ever heard something called the Spanish donkey. He describes it to his captive, and it sounds like a terrible punishment. Subsequently, Tom points his gun at him, saying this time it is loaded. The only question Owen feels the need to ask is, why is Tom like this? It is because of Owen, answers the wicked man. He gives Owen the key to free himself. When he's free, he walks with a sharp stick hidden from Tom until he throws himself at the man to stab him with it. Tom retaliates by getting him on the floor, where he punches him a few times into unconsciousness. Shifting to Ricky with the woman, she prepares drinks for them while adding the sleepy substance into Ricky's glass. They engage in small talk. She gives him the glass and he's about to drink it, but he doesn't. He asks if she met Owen due to his car breaking down, which she says is the case. She says her brother is a mechanic who came to help. Soon Ricky stands, making her stand too. Some tension exists during this moment, yet Ricky brings it down by asking if he can use the washroom. After she tells him where it is, he closes himself there and uses his phone to perhaps try calling the police. Alas, a shotgun blast through the door foils his plan. Partly injured, the boy holds the door with his legs to prevent her from entering. It doesn't take long for him to grab the shotgun prior to pushing her away. They struggle for a short time until Ricky escapes from the house. The woman surprises him outside and brings him down. He is lucky to have a knife that he uses to stab her in the neck. Ricky asks her where his friend is in this harsh time. Since he asked, our attention is brought to Owen being mounted to the Spanish donkey. Tom is there to remind him of the moon necklace he gave to the boy. He says he had it for a very long time. However, the boy disrespected it. Tom thinks he disrespects everything, for he is exceedingly selfish. He accuses Owen of being exactly what is wrong with the world. He deals with him by tossing a brick into a bucket that is connected to Owen's leg. It is the aspect of the punishment that makes it effective. Tom says Andy would have done anything for them. We get a flashback of Andy excitedly telling the younger Owen how it is heaven where they are. When he stands near a cliff, Owen runs toward him to push him off from behind. He falls near Tom, who gets the shock of his life to witness the man he admired experience such heavy misfortune. Out of the flashback, Tom says he loved Andy. He then tosses a brick in the bucket connected to Owen's other leg. He informs Owen that Andy was still alive after he fell. He sat with him the entire time and promised the man he would not let him perish in vain. Soon his phone alerts him about a car being parked outside his house. We see Ricky rushing to it with the woman's shotgun. He looks for a way in while Tom is ready with his revolver inside. As Ricky is walking past the windows, he sadly gets shot down from one of them. Left unsupervised, Owen manages to free himself from the Spanish donkey. Once Tom runs back to him, he sees he is too late. Owen slams him with one of the bricks to knock him out. The next thing we see is Tom being mounted to the device. Owen asks if he believes in karma before he tosses a brick into the bucket that already contains a few of them. The weight in the bucket becomes too much, and Tom's leg gets ripped off. At a different time, Ricky lies alive in a hospital bed. An officer enters the room to get the facts from the recovering boy. Ricky tells him he drove out there because he is interested in attending a school. He didn't remember what happened when he awoke in the hospital. We see what happened to him at that time. Owen put him inside the car and threw the wicked woman out. He reversed the car on her to take her life. The policeman in the hospital was supposedly told Ricky has post-traumatic amnesia now. Ricky tells him it's dangerous to try to get the sufferer of the condition to remember what happened. That's something he learned from Dr. Fisher. During a time of being recovered, Ricky looks in his school locker to find an envelope addressed to him. It has a letter Owen wrote to him. He reads it to learn Owen appreciates that Ricky came to try to rescue him. Owen knows Ricky is interested in the details, but writes that will have to wait for another day. He wants his friend to know he is okay, and their situation has been taken care of. We see how Owen returns the previously captive young boy to his home. He reunites with his mother. Owen is not sure where all of this is going to take him, yet he knows bad things are happening in the world. Terrible things he thinks no one seems to care about. He says he won't lie to himself anymore. Now Owen remembers, and will make sure the bad people never forget. Later, he sits in his car, looking through a notebook with many names plus numbers. He eventually lands on the name Carl, prompting him to watch the outside to see him. Soon he does. As Carl walks, unaware that he's being targeted, he seems to stop, maybe because he sees Owen and recognizes him. It is the final frame in the film. What happens next is for us to imagine.